Welcome to Volkswagen Tiguan e-hybrid. This is a plug-in hybrid. We do have some subtle differences after the facelift in 2020. Overall, I think a lovely looking family SUV. Without further ado, I say we hop in and find out what the Tiguan plug-in hybrid is all about.
You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind.
Okay, because it's such a professional car test, we must measure the acceleration. So let's sneak a little launch control. I'm going to pop this car into sport mode. I'm not sure if I should press the GTE button, but oh well. Let's go crazy, we only live once, right? Now, I'm not sure how to disengage the automatic start and stop button, so we're just going to go without it. Foot on the brake, foot on the throttle. Oh dear, it doesn't really rev. It doesn't even rev to 2000 RPMs, oh dearest, but anyway, let's give it a go, shall we? So, oh dearest, are we moving? Are we moving? Now we're moving. Oh dearest, that was a bit of a lousy start. So the declared 0 to 100 is, oh dearest God, I think my eyes are bleeding. It is 7.5 seconds and I am 9.06. Could this get any worse? I'm not so sure, to be honest with you. The world is falling apart yet again. But whilst I have your attention, the visibility in this vehicle is very good. Big rear window, lots of visibility in here. I am a cheeky, sneaky woman. Failed miserably at one thing and changed the subject swiftly, moving on to another discussion. Well, I mean, do I really have a choice? 9.06, sorry, not 9.6, 9.06, well, that makes me feel so much better. Well, that is just plain embarrassing. But anyway, life goes on and we move on.
You got something.
Under the bonnet, I've got a 1.4-litre turbocharged petrol engine combined with electric motor. This is a plug-in hybrid, and this is the very same powertrain that we have in Golf GTE or Passat GTE. The total power is being calculated at 245 horses, 400 Newton meters of torque, and the declared electric range is 48 kilometers, which is 30 miles. Now that might be true only if you nanny the throttle pedal big times, you're driving on flat roads, God forbid there's a bit of frost outside, because more realistic figure is just over 30 kilometers, which is just under 20 miles. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but this is really the sort of pop it on charge overnight kind of a car. That's because the charging time using a regular wall socket at home will take about 5 hours. Even when you're using one of those chargers, including rapid chargers, it will still take 3 hours and 40 minutes, and this is really as good as it gets. That's because we've got 3.6 kilowatts cap on the battery. Now, because this is a plug-in hybrid, you can still register this car under your company and take the advantage of the wonderful tax benefits in plenty of countries. And as far as I'm concerned, the more money you keep in your pocket and the less money you give to the government, the better off you are. And once you're out of electric juice, it is not all over. That's because you've got the wonderful flexibility of the petrol engine. And the fuel economy is somewhere between 6 and 7 liters, which is bugger all, because this is not a small car.
Should keep rolling in silence.
By the way, I forgot to tell you about a very clever thing this car can do. That is, you can tell it how to distribute your energy using the navigation system. So for example, you're going on a journey, whether it's a short or long journey, you pop it into navigation and you can precisely tell it what you wanted to do with the battery. So for example, you are leaving from a congested city, you hit the motorway or B roads, and then you have to return to a congested city. So logic tells me that you of course want to use the battery when you're driving through a congested city and petrol on the motorway. So you can plan, let's say, that 30 or 40 or 50% of the battery is used on the first section of the journey when you're driving through a city, and then use the petrol and then use the battery again, whatever you've got left. I thought that was very clever, is it? Or do I just feel like I've discovered America and it's nothing new? Well, anyway, I found that very useful. That's the word. Okay, and what about being a passenger in Tiguan? So I have adjusted this seat for my height, which is just over 1.7 meter, 5'6", and I've got plenty of legroom. This is really impressive. You can stretch your legs all the way down here. Plenty of headroom. I mean, really, this is yet again very, very impressive. You've got mainly Alcantara on your seats, a little bit of fabric. That's a lovely touch from Volkswagen. Plenty of pockets in here, practicality, German practicality. What about the middle seat? Well, you know, you do have a reasonably big hump in here. It's not ideal, but it's an emergency seat, and you can fit a slim person or a child in here without any problems. Overall, I think this space is lovely. I like it. Okay, so let's have a look at the boot space. We've got 476 liters of space, which is 139 liters less than in the petrol Tiguan, but I think it's plenty of room, and the surfaces are flat, so you don't have to lift items in order to put them in and take them out, and that is enough at the boots.
I've been trying hard to keep my cool, but when you're near, there's nothing.
So this car is very relaxing to drive. It is also very comfy. You don't feel any bumps, any imperfections on the roads. Of course, when you trot around town on electric only, it is super quiet, but even when you hit the motorway and pick up a bit of speed, there isn't much tire noise, there isn't much wind noise. It really is a lovely long-distance cruiser. Now, this is a front-wheel drive car, but even in heavy rain on a curvy road, as I have experienced it yesterday, you know what's happening with it. It feels planted, it feels very secure. The handling is actually really good, but just because there isn't much body lean on a curvy road like this one, it doesn't mean you should be performing road acrobatics of any shape or form. No, it's not the car for this sort of a game, because you might just find yourself wrapping your teeth around the next tree if you get carried away. This is certainly the kind of car, stable, solid, family car.
Don't you know I waited such a long time?
The steering is nice and light, it's got a natural feel about it, but at the same time, it's got a good response so that you don't have to twist and turn until your arm falls off. This car is actually easy to maneuver around town, despite its medium to large size. That's because we've got a very good turning circle, and I wouldn't expect anything less of Volkswagen. We've got 6-speed automatic dual clutch gearbox, and the gear change is quick, it is smooth. Now, what's about the throttle response? Well, I'm going to pop you into sport mode, and I'm going to press the GTE button, which will allow me to combine both motors for maximum boost. And then, of course, I'm going to floor it. Well, the acceleration is certainly salubrious, but two things. Now, the gearbox is in such synergy with my, well, particularly heavy right foot, and I really floor this, pedal to the metal. Two, I don't know if you've heard, well, you couldn't hear, it's actually very well mannered. There's a little bit of a rattle, but I really smashed the throttle pedal, yeah? So I have to say, it's quite delightful. And it's only coming out of 1.4 litre engine. Okay, so let's have a look at the cabin. The quality of the materials, the fit and finish is actually very good. Nothing squeaks, nothing wobbles. Everything is well put together. Now, I do like these seats. So we've got fabric on the side, not my favorite, but anyway. But we also have Alcantara running all the way down here. I think it was Golf R where it was the other way around. I mean, it's lovely to have Alcantara on the sides, but for the Alcantara to do its job, you really need to have it under your bottom, exactly what you have here. So well done, Volkswagen. Personally, I'll probably go for something a little bit friskier in terms of color, but that's just me. Now, digital driver's display, we've got different layouts. Let me put it this way. Whatever your heart desires, Volkswagen gives it to you. I really appreciate that. Shortcut buttons on your steering wheel, clean and simple layout. Well done, Volkswagen. Now moving on to practicality. So side pocket, we've got a large bottle of water you can fit in easily. You can probably fit in 2 bottles here. What I like about this pocket, we've got soft carpet. So when you have steel bottle or glass bottle, it doesn't end up, banging on the sides, which is really irritating, especially when you're driving fast, because I know you're doing it anyway. Even my sort of I think this is a receiver, I usually carry a cashmere sock. Otherwise, people on YouTube start to complain, Anna, you should fire a sand guy. Do I fire myself? Yeah, exactly my thinking. But here, I don't need the cashmere sock. Really appreciate that. You can pop this bottle in here and you can wrap it so it doesn't end up flying. Everything is safe and secure in Volkswagen. Again, and then you can remove it and you can use it as a pocket as well. And you can close it to hide all the things you want to carry. Of course, being Volkswagen, there's more storage space. Deep pocket in here. We've got wireless mobile charging tray, very practical. I do like that. 2 USB ports, lovely. And now let's move on to infotainment system. So we've got one proper screen and one little screen. So this operates just about everything actually. The system itself is easy, straightforward, very intuitive, good graphics. In fact, it really is crystal clear. I do like it. Lovely. So very easy to get your head around it. When I saw the traditional knob for volume control, I thought, yes, Volkswagen has listened. Oh, don't you get carried away, because my enthusiasm was curbed very quickly when I looked down here. And this unit is exclusively for climate control. I mean, I know the intention was probably good, because you've got the, for example, shortcut button to recirculate your air when you have a smelly car in the front of you. But not quite executed 100%, because we still have those sliders, sliding Volkswagen Tiguan slider. I mean, they are very touch sensitive. Just to give you an idea, I can pop my mobile phone. Probably shouldn't be doing anyway, but anyway. There you go. It switches from auto climate control to maximum, and it can become very hot or very cold, and you start to think, what is happening with my body? This is what's happening. Volkswagen is playing its tricky games. Just ignore it anyway. Let's hope they will listen. They have resolved half of the job. Maybe with the next generation, they'll do the other half. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But overall, I think the cabin is actually quite lovely. Again, I would go for a slightly different color, something a little bit more feminine. That's because I'm a female. But otherwise, cabin is functional, it's practical, it's actually quite nice. Now let's talk trims. It will all depend which country you live in. But it seems to me that the number of trims is reduced for the plug-in hybrid. I'm not sure why. But anyway, let's have a look at the UK. So the cheapest trim you can get for the plug-in hybrid is called Life, and it will cost you £28,000. Now, I'm normally not so fussed about the trims, but because this is such a traditional looking family SUV, subtle details can make a big difference. And as such, I probably wouldn't recommend going for Life. Oh, for goodness sake, just don't get the Life in grey, because it will be just that, Life. You want to be greater than Life if you've got a bit of dosh. Because if you do, your other options would be to go for the R-Line, which is a bit sporty, or the Elegance, which is the model I have with me today. They're just a little bit smarter and nicer looking, as simple as that. All in all, this is a very practical family SUV. It isn't cheap, I know, but you can lower your tax rate, and it's got very solid driving dynamics, which, believe it or not, in today's world can be a bit of a hit and miss. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you all very, very soon. Bye. Welcome to Volkswagen. Because you see, no matter how much money you give to the government, it will never be enough, ever. Especially for your mighty leaders to be able to afford a decent haircut. Goodness gracious me, don't they look just hideous? Pay for the haircut of your wife, and I promise you will be all much happier.